Hey everyone, and welcome to our demo on 3D Experience. Maybe we've met before, but if it's not the case, hi, my name is Lina and I'll be your host today. Let's start with a little game. Grab your phones and open up the Photos app. Got it? Cool. Now, comment and tell us how many photos do you have on your phone. I'll reveal my number at the end of the presentation, so stick around. Digital cameras, and even more so our phones, have completely changed the way we capture memories. Snapping a photo has become so easy that we end up with thousands of pictures piling up. But then comes the tricky part, managing them all. Most of us start by creating folders on our computer and transferring files just to free up some space on our phone. Then, of course, we actually want to do something of these memories, like sharing them with family via email. But we also need to keep them safe and avoid deleting them by accident. It's also important to find them easily when we need them. And some of us even go all the way out and create hundreds of folders just to keep everything organized. But let's be real, that's not exactly simple. Emails, not great, because the files are too large. Searching for a file, a nightmare, and manually organizing everything, a total headache. And that's where the cloud changed everything. No more storing all your photos on a single computer. Now we can keep everything in the cloud, accessible from anywhere, way more secure, and no more worrying about running out of space on our phone. On top of that, we got all these new features like automatic collection, memory slideshow, and even keyword search. Today, it feels totally normal, but if you think about it, a few years ago, it seemed impossible. And that's exactly what 3D Experience is all about. But instead of managing your photos, it handles all the data you generate daily, giving you a way more streamlined design experience, better organization, and effortless collaboration, as well as so much more. To break it all down for us, we have Michael Habrich and Ricardo Bicciola today with us.
Thanks for the introduction, Lena. You're exactly right. The 3D Experience platform is the cloud solution for CAD data. So what then is cloud services? Cloud services connects SOLIDWORKS Desktop CAD to the 3D Experience platform, the cloud. It's all the licensing required for SOLIDWORKS Standard, Pro, or Premium to start working in 3D Experience. So it's the same SOLIDWORKS Desktop that you know and love, plus the roles and apps to do things on the 3D Experience platform, including many things with your SOLIDWORKS data. Most people don't start off using all the tools all at once. You certainly don't have to start getting the value. What's great is that you can start with the tools that suit your needs and then scale up when you're feeling ready. After all, Rome wasn't built in a day, am I right? So let's start off with the most simple use of cloud services, and then we'll move into the other use cases and what you can do with your data. So most SOLIDWORKS users come across a need to share the designs with somebody at some point. What ways have we done this in the past? Probably something like e-drawings, pack and go, emailing files, Dropbox. So there are already a bunch of different ways that you can do this, but Share and Markup enables an easy way to share designs with coworkers, suppliers, or customers to get feedback. So think about the times that you've wanted to show somebody a SOLIDWORKS file. You can do that in different formats here. They can view it without downloading or installing anything, no licenses required on the receiving end, and they can give feedback right on the shared file so you can clearly see what they mean. So instead of talking about it, let's take a look at what it actually looks like in our SOLIDWORKS environment. So we'll start with an assembly open in SOLIDWORKS. And for example, we want to send this out to get feedback from a supplier. So there's an addition to the command manager as of 2023, SP3, that you may have to turn on. Right-click on any tab, select Tabs, and then select Lifecycle and Collaboration. From that tab, click on the Share for all the ways you can communicate with others about your design. We can create posts in communities directly from SOLIDWORKS, but when it comes to sharing with anyone, we can send them a model or drawing from here too. This 3D XML file type is the lightweight format for short load times that maintains exact 3D geometry. Once you click the Upload button, the file is generated and uploaded to your 3D drive, which is just like OneDrive but integrated in the 3D Experience platform, in a folder that you specify. In this case, it'll default to one called Shared with External. These options here are what allows external sharing and comments. And the third one limits access to just the emails that you add below it. So we'll put in the email of our supplier. In this example, his name is Sam. This is the person we want to share the design with to get feedback on how they'll be making the assembly. Maybe they can offer ideas for improvement, so we can put a message here just explaining what we're asking them to do. Once we click on Share the File, it's actually going to upload to 3D Drive, and the task pane in SOLIDWORKS is going to switch so that we can see the folder right in our SOLIDWORKS environment. The recipient will then get an email that looks just like this one that you see on your screen. You'll be taken to a browser to log into the 3D experience. If you don't already have an account, you can create one here. Obviously, no charge, no license required. Just fill out the typical account info page. Once the user has an account, they can just log in, so using the username and password that they just defined, and then the model will load straight into their browser. Once again, I'll reiterate, nothing to download at all, no licensing. You just have to share a link, and bam, right here in your browser, you'll be able to view the 3D and mark it up as you see fit. So we'll take a look at that. So the model is in full 3D, of course. And just like in SOLIDWORKS, you have view modes, so you can change the way that it looks, change the style a little bit, and a few different options here, including the backgrounds that you can change. And you can also change whether you want perspective on or off, just to get a better idea of what your part looks like in real life. So in this case, we're using an assembly model, which gives us access to the Explode tool. It's automatically able to separate the parts, so you can visualize how they go together in real life. Obviously, we didn't actually have to create an exploded view in our SOLIDWORKS file. It's actually the power of 3D Play that's allowing you to do that exploded view. And then there's also the measure tool. So if you want to investigate or confirm sizes, or even mark the dimensions of a specific thing in your model, you can do so with special flags for instantly visible comments. In this case, if you want to validate this dimension, you'll mark it in green. If it's a problem or you want to change something, maybe change it to yellow or orange or red. So besides the free rotation, we can also snap to standard orthogonal views. So imagine your front view, side view, top view, and even your isometric view. So with a combination of annotations and text, here's where you can actually start marking up the design. So in this case, we'll mark up maybe a portion that we want to change on the model. There's pen tools as well as text, and the markups are viewable in the view orientation where they were created. So you can actually move around the model and it will keep it clear of any clutter in the 3D environment, as you can see here. And then obviously different colors are available for use as well. So once again, if you want to validate something, maybe you're going to use green. If it's a warning, maybe yellow or red. When they're done, all they need to do is click on Share as Comment. This will capture all of the markups that they've created and make them visible for you and others that have access. That's all they have to do. Once again, no emails, you're not sending any zip files back and forth. It's browser-based, and that's it. Now, back in our SOLIDWORKS environment, as soon as our supplier here has sent back the comment, we'll get a notification in the My Session pane. So clicking on it will take you to the shared file in 3D Drive, and then you can actually click on the information button to see the comments on the file. And when we click on the thumbnail of the markup you see here in 3D Play, it's going to open up right in the task pane for you in your SOLIDWORKS environment. So as our SOLIDWORKS user, you never have to leave the software that you're comfortable with. Now, the best way to look at all of these comments is actually with something called annotation tours, since this lets you cycle through all the different views of the markups that were created by our external user. Going back to the comments, you can actually reply or add comments of your own, and everyone with access to the link will then get the updates. Now, what if the part that we want to share is actually a part file, right? It's not an assembly this time. Well, we'll open up one of the arms here and use the same share button from the command manager. We still have the default lightweight 3D XML format, but we also have the option for a native SOLIDWORKS file to be sent. Now, the rest of the steps are exactly the same as for an assembly. We just have to click upload. We're still going to put in the email address of the recipient that we'd like, and then maybe add a little message, once again asking them to do a specific task related to the file that we're sharing. And at the end here, once we click share, you'll actually see the file being put into 3D Drive, and we can verify that it is in fact an SLD PRT instead of that 3D XML from before. So selecting the native SOLIDWORKS format can be important to note, since whatever file you share can be downloaded by the external user. So if you want them to be able to access the SOLIDWORKS file, download it, and open it up in their own SOLIDWORKS, maybe then you'll share it as an SLD PRT. If you need to protect your design details, then maybe that's when you'll go with the 3D XML. And finally, what if we have a drawing we want to share? Well, you can see that in the addition to a PDF, you can send a DXF or a DWG. So the same consideration would be given whether you want them to have access to the data with a download. Sometimes you'll want that, sometimes you'll want to protect from that, and that determines which format you're going to be selecting here. And that's actually all I have to say about share and markup. Before I hand it off, though, I do want to show you how to turn on share and markup as the 3D Experience Platform admin. So as an admin, you have access to something called the Platform Management Dashboard. And in this dashboard, you'll find a Content tab that contains something called the Drives Control Center. From here, you can navigate to the Share with External page, where you're going to want to turn on these two options. Allow platform members to share content with external users by link, and allow external users to view and comment on the shared content. If you're not the administrator of your platform, go tell them right now to turn these options on, like right now. That's it. That's all I really have to say about share and markup.
Thanks, Michael. Do any of you do these things often or even occasionally, like reviewing design with colleagues or external partners, requesting a quote from a supplier, sending a model with pricing to a client, or even collaborating to improve design and exchange ideas? If any of these sound familiar, then share and markup is for you. Now I'll hand it over to Ricardo for the next topic.
Thanks, Lena. Let's have an even deeper conversation about your data. Who does any kind of data management with their SOLIDWORKS files?
I do.
Obviously, Michael, it was a trick question because, to be honest, everyone does some sort of data management, even if you just keep track of your files on a hard drive or on some sort of network. So what most users want is a CAD-aware storage system to keep references nice and tidy. If you have a team working together, then making sure you don't step on each other's toes while working on files is huge. And many times we have to keep track of revisions when changes are made. Sometimes it's not important, but often it is. So let's take a look at how you store your SOLIDWORKS files on the 3D Experience platform list. Let's take a look at the store function. Go ahead, create or open your files as you always would. This is your desktop SOLIDWORKS, but now it's connected to the 3D Experience. Here I'm just opening a file that's on my local hard drive. Notice that Open from 3D Experience button there. That's a toggle between the Windows Open dialog and one for the 3D Experience, but we'll come back to that later. I want to open the top level assembly so I can use the quick filter to find and open it. To save this assembly to the cloud, just go to File, Save to 3D Experience. Control-Alt-S is there if you're a keyboard shortcut fan like me. Or you can even save it using the 3D Experience button on the toolbar. Pretty much what we've always done, just a slightly different command to specify that we're saving to the platform. Here you can verify which collaborative space you'll be saving into and change it if you need to. A collaborative space is just an area on your platform, so it's basically on the cloud, where data is stored and managed. It's what we call CAD-aware, so it knows all the relationships between your CAD files that are stored within it. You can see that it sees the associated drawings for the files in this assembly as well. To organize your data, go to the select bookmark, and you can create a folder-like structure here to help you find and open designs later. Personally, I have to say it, I like bookmarks way more than folders. They're more flexible and can be moved around. I recommend checking out some more of that content that we have on bookmarks to really get the most out of them. It's really handy as a function. That's really all there is to it as far as saving your files to the 3D Experience. While the save completes, I have access to SOLIDWORKS and can keep on working if I need to. Now, as you can see, the connection between SOLIDWORKS and 3D Experience is tightly integrated in the user interface. There's an additional view, though, of the 3D Experience over there in the task pane. The status column indicates whether the open file matches the one saved in the 3D experience, or if it's been modified, or even if it's never been saved in the 3D experience at all. You can see this column is updating for us as the save completes. There's also a revision, and we can see if it's the latest revision. We'll get into how all that's used in the revise section. The lock status will show you if it's not locked, locked by you, or locked by another user. Whoever locks a file can then make changes to it. Pretty simple. Other users can use that file but are prevented from modifying it. Now that we know how to save files, let's see how to open and make some changes. After closing that file, just go over to File, Open, and use that toggle to open from 3D Experience this time. We'll go to Bookmarks, like you would a folder. The quick filters are even available to use just as if you were opening locally. For a quick check on the 3D Experience information, you can go over to the Feature Manager and expand the lifecycle columns. See over there that the same 4 properties are over here as well. And you can even lock or unlock a file directly from this list. In fact, since we're going to make some changes to the assembly, let's go ahead and lock it now. Now, only I can make changes to the file. The same insert components command that we've always used to add files stored either locally or 3D Experience can be accessed like it always has been. Again, Bookmarks are there to the rescue to find what we're looking for. And you can even search within Bookmarks with any type of property that's found within the file. This lock over here indicates that someone else has locked that file, but it's not a problem. We're not needing to make any changes to that file right now. If you have more designs to work with, you can save them locally with Save to this PC, or as always, Control-S. And when you're ready to put some changes on the cloud storage, use Save to 3D Experience, and it'll update what was previously stored on the cloud. Now I'm going to use this Unlock Files After Saving checkbox to allow others to modify it once the save has been completed. As we see here, the assembly is now updated and in 3D Experience, and it's been unlocked. You can access this same data from your browser back in the 3D Experience platform. The Content tab has the web version of the bookmark editor with additional tools and commands to help manage your data. To view any content, simply drag it over into the 3D Play app.
Thank you very much for the information, Ricardo. Now, with our data stored in the 3D Experience platform, you can easily iterate on designs and keep track of revisions. Here are the basics, step by step. So we've decided that a change is needed on this part here. These 2 holes are going to be repositioned on the top side of the arm. A quick look in My Session, and we can actually confirm that this file matches the one stored in the 3D Experience. It's unlocked, and the current revision is A. It's also important to know that A is the very latest revision that exists on the platform. So we know we're working with the right one. Now we know, of course, there's also a 2D drawing of this part, so you'll need to update that as well. We don't even have to go search for it, actually just right-click and go to Open Drawing. SOLIDWORKS knows the file has an associated drawing file in 3D Experience, so it goes out and grabs that and downloads it. Now the next step is important, and it's how we recommend handling your files in a simple store and revise workflow. I'll Control-select both the drawing and the model, and then right-click to select New Revision. So let's go ahead and add a comment to the document just to let everyone know the changes we're about to make. Think of it this way. We're going to leave revision A as it is in the 3D Experience platform. We're going to create a new revision that will have our changes. So this new revision is going to create a copy of the file at that point in time, and that we'll be able to modify freely. Note that when we create a new revision this way, it's actually going to automatically lock the file for me in SOLIDWORKS because it thinks you're going to get some work done now. Now we'll go to the part model and make those required changes. So as we said at the beginning, we're just simply moving the holes from the side of this arm to the top of the arm. And watch how quick I am in SOLIDWORKS. Just like that, it's moved over to the top of the arm. So next, it's over to the drawing, and the dimensions just need to be moved to another view. So this should be a pretty easy update to do. And of course, the revision on the drawing will automatically update to match. As we're finished with all of our changes, we'll just go ahead and take a look at our status again in My Session. You can see that we have some modifications to save. So we'll go to Save with Options. Now, we didn't have to use Save with Options. Save to 3D Experience would have uploaded our changes for Rev B, but this gives us a chance to specify the bookmarks. Remember, a bookmark is a pointer to a specific file at that specific revision. And since we want to find the new revision in the same bookmark structure as before, we're just going to select that here. There's also a checkbox that will unlock the files after saving. It's just a time saver that will protect me from accidentally overwriting Rev B later. So let's go ahead and click the Save button and just make sure that our modifications are available to everybody else on the platform. There you go. So what happens in an assembly when a part has been revised? So here's an assembly that uses that ARM part that we just changed. And you can see in the feature manager that the part is actually not the latest revision, and that big red X over here. So let's right-click on the component and go to Lifecycle and Collaboration. And we'll just select Replace by Revision. Now from here, we can choose specifically which revision to use now. In this case, we'll just select B and press OK. So of course, there may be some mates that need to be repaired since we did move some holes. That should be fairly simple. And once that's done, we're just going to use Save with Options again to make sure that that most up-to-date assembly is available on the platform. So there's a couple of things to point out with this workflow. Notice that we never bumped the revision of the assembly as we started updating it. So in order to save it now, we'd have to lock it, but that would overwrite the existing revision A, which is not what we want to do, right? So this is going to be a new revision. This needs to be a new revision as well. So what we'll do is check the box for a new revision right here in our dialog. We'll check that box and then click our Save button. So note that this will actually create revision B as we're performing the save. We can also add a revision comment and unlock the file when it's complete again before everything is up to date on the platform. There you go. We can even confirm in the feature manager here, all the latest changes have been saved. So back in our web browser, from the bookmark editor, we can actually drag and drop revision B over to the 3D Play app just to see a preview of it. I just want to remind you, this could be anybody on the platform with a simple web browser. It doesn't need to be your engineer, it doesn't need to be the person who works in SOLIDWORKS. Anybody can view this file now that it is up on the platform. Here's one more quick tip to show you what you can do with files when they're stored in the 3D experience. With the drawing loaded into 3D Play, we're going to go to the compass and click on the 3D Markup app. That's going to switch the 3D Play app over to the 3D Markup app, where we have some additional functionality. Now this app is also included in your base roles of cloud services. So you'll be able to do the same thing on your side. So let's move down to the action bar here and click on 2D Compare. We'll be able to select the previous revision of the drawing, and we'll actually be able to visualize the changes between the two revisions using this slider over here. So Rev A is what's showing up in green, and then in Rev B, we have the red. And that's all for Revise.
Thanks to both of you for the great insight. Design and data always go hand in hand. With 3D Experience, you can manage your CAD storage without setting up servers or even worrying about extra IT costs. No more files named Rev1, Final, or worst of all, Final Last Real Final. You'll be able to edit your designs smoothly and stress-free. Ricardo, I'll let you take us through the final topic of the demo.
So here we go. When you're ready for a formal process to release and revise designs, 3D Experience can be scaled up for you. This is where you'll want to partner with us to plan out and implement all the specific details. For today, we're just going to introduce the high-level concepts and ideas so that you can get to thinking about your needs and be ready to talk about them with us. We'll start off with revisions, which help companies to track the changes to a product along with its history. Under Store and Revise, we went through a simple revision example. There are more options in the 3D experience where you can use a primary and secondary revision scheme. You can even choose between alphabetical, numeric, or go crazy and create alphanumeric schemes. You can also track and set rights using maturity states and life cycles. The 5 states shown here on the engineering definition maturity graph, quite the mouthful, are going to meet the needs of the mass majority of clients and are not meant to be customized. That's where change actions, issues, and routes can be used to tailor a design release process and take care of all those more complex situations. Change actions help capture all the information related to your data management, and they're the core mechanism to track and ensure traceability of things like signatures, documents, as well as metadata that are a part of a change. Change actions also allow only the assigned people to have access to making the design change or granting the approvals when complete. Revision and maturity state changes are also handled under the change action, so you're sure the proper process is followed each and every time. Shortcuts and skip steps are the source of the biggest headaches when you don't have a formal system. If required, the change process can be expanded further so that anyone within a company can start what's called an issue related to a SOLIDWORKS design. And that issue can then be used to drive a change action. They're a great way for anyone in a company to capture and document an issue related to a design, and then share that information directly with the relevant person or department to get it taken care of right away. No matter the complexity of your sign-off process, the 3D Experience platform can be configured to work for you. For example, if you have parallel or multi-step approvals, routes can be configured to handle all of your needs quickly and easily.
Thanks, Ricardo. So no matter where you start with cloud services, you're guaranteed to see real benefits and added value in your workflow. It's flexible, scalable, and designed to fit your needs, whether you're just getting started or ready to go all in. Now, as we get to the end, remember that number I promised you? Yeah. So on my phone, I have 47,839 pictures. Yep, for me, cloud is a must. So a huge thanks to our expert for this awesome presentation. I want to thank you as well for staying here till the end, and see you all next time.